wonder when you're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you see a book that's been blowing up on every single social media channel and wonder, is this book any good? So I had the same question too. The difference between you and me is that I am very easily influenced, and I get the books and I read the books, and I also tell you whether they're worth it or not. That sounds like a deal. So I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have more than 20 books over here. Most of them are series, so yeah. I committed to the bet. I read all the book series. I can just tell you whether they're good or not. I categorize the books by fantasy, romantasy. We have dark romance, romance, and we also have 2 literary fiction books. Enough talking, let's get started. So this first book has been taking all over the internet for the past couple of months. This is We Who Will Die by Stacia Stark. This book is good. Kind of like Gladiator style Hunger Games. And there's also a love triangle. But the thing that I was very confused about this book was the love triangle. I was like, wait, who does she want to be with? Why did we get introduced to this random man if he's not going to be the main interest? I don't know. I'm a little confused. And think this book is about like vampires in Hunger Games. I know that's a very wild thing to say. I would say maybe give this book a chance, but it was not my favorite read of the year. The Empyrean series, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Onyx Storm. I tried to read Fourth Wing 5 times, and I kind of want to congratulate myself because I literally went out my way and tried to read this book 5 times, try to give it a chance 5 times, and I ended up DNFing it 5 times. My second and third try, I was like, third time is a charm, like this is gonna be good. I think I read through up until the page 200, and then I was like, this is not for me, and I tried to listen to an audiobook as a dramatized version, but I still did not like the book. I think it's just like the dragons that does it for me, that I quite don't enjoy. But I think this is a very good book if you just started reading. This language is a little bit easier than the rest of the fantasy books that I've ever read. This was a no for me. Speaking of dragons, the other thing that I cannot do is wolves. I don't know, I was always Team Edward on Twilight too. I just never liked Jacob, the fact that he was a wolf. Does that make me problematic? I tried to read the Wolves of Ruin series, Direbound, the first book. Again, I was immersed reading this book, and I know I started reading the physical book first, and I was like, no, I'm gonna switch it over to my Kindle. So I think I was 30% through that I was like, I can't do this. I don't know, the plot just seemed so very similar to Fourth Wing. It was just not my favorite, so sue me. When I started this book, I was eating it up. Like the first 15% was amazing, then they lost me. I know you've probably seen about this book, but I don't know if it's that popular. I still want to include this book just because this is my god tier series. It's the War of Lost Hearts series, Daughter of No World, and the second book is Children of Fallen Gods, and the third book is Mother of Death and Dawn. So this book is basically about a girl, Tizana, our female main character. She is a slave, gets sold as a child, so she's been living off of she has been struggling her whole life. And one day she decides to join this organization called the Orders, and she has a trainer called Maxentharius. Beginning of the book, you're like, oh my god, I don't know what to feel about her, but at the end of this book, you're like, yes, Tizano. So I would definitely give this whole series a try. The very controversial book cover itself, Quicksilver. I think I read it like 2 years ago. It first got published, and this is not even a traditionally published one. This is the indie version. I got it on audiobook. It wasn't as popular back then, but then this book completely blew out. I mostly listened to this on audiobook, and I'm not gonna lie, the audiobook narrators, they did a good damn job. So I really enjoyed reading it. Now that I'm thinking about it, would I read it instead of listening to it? I don't know. I literally got the second book, but I've been putting it off because I was like, I don't remember what happened in this book, quite literally. I would definitely give this book as an audiobook a try. Yeah, another controversial book herself, Silver Lead by Dani Francis. I ate this book up. I ate it up. I cannot wait for Broken Dove. That comes out in May, I believe. I can't wait for it. I love dystopian. Like, this was giving Divergent mixed with Hunger Games, and I wanted more. I know nobody liked the ending. It was very predictable. It was an incredibly predictable book, but that's not the point. The point is that I had so much fun reading this book. If you like dystopian romances, I think you might like this, unless you don't like having fun. Another book that's been really popping off on the internet right now is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. This book, I had so much high hopes, and don't get me wrong, this was a good book. I didn't see the ending coming. I did not know what was going on, to be quite frank with you, throughout the book. I think that's what kind of threw me off on this book. Quite literally was so clueless of what was going on. It's basically a woman. She goes out on a run, and when she comes back home, she tries to open her door and the lock is not working. She knocks on a door and this woman opens it up. It kind of looks like her, and she's like, "Who are you?" The other girl is like, "I own this place, who are you?" She's like, "No, I own this place." And it's kind of getting heated, so this girl brings up her husband. She expects the husband to say to her that she's my husband. She says, "I don't know who you are." I made that so complicated. And then things start unraveling. There are multiple POVs in this book. First, when you're reading the book, you don't understand the second POV of who it was because it just sounds like so random. But in the end, it makes sense. But at the same time, my mind is still blown. I don't know what to feel about this book. Wild Egg Shore. This book was so amazing. I learned so much in this book. Points out the climate change and what's actually going on around the world. So there is a little island near Australia, if I'm not wrong. It is a very small island and only researchers go to this island. One day a woman washes up on the shore and they don't know who this woman is and what her intentions are behind it. There were like a lot of twists in this book and I really enjoyed it. However, it did make me cry at like 10 a.m. in the morning. This book is my all-time favorite book. Kristin Hanna's Nightingale. If you haven't read this book, I think everybody at least should read this book once in their lifetime. I'm not usually a rereading person. This book had me sobbing. It goes around about two sisters during World War II. It shows two different perspectives how the war affected them. Kristin Hanna can write a cookbook and I will still read it. Now on to the romance section. I'm gonna start out with like kind of dark romances. They're not really dark romances. Have the I do not know what this series is called, but it's Lights Out and Caught Up by Navessa Allen. And the third book is also coming out in March, I believe. Listen, I read Lights Out during a 24-hour readathon. I ate it up. I was like, this is not too dark, because one thing about me is that I can't do too dark romances. It needs to be kind of lighthearted for me. Like if there's humor involved, sign me up. Like I kind of like that. I read it in under 6 hours. I even tabbed it. I don't know why I tabbed it. The second book, Caught Up, I DNF'd this. I could not read this book. It was just pure smut. And not that there is anything wrong with that. It's just my personal preference that I do not like that very much in the books. If there is no plot and it's just the whole thing. So the first book, yes, if you want to have a good time. Second book, no, unless, I don't know. Been talking about humorous dark romances. We have The Butcher and the Blackbird. We know how big this book is. I could not get past the part that the main male character has a piercing. Yeah, down there. I think when I was reading it, it was a little, I'm a huge empath. That's probably why. I did not like the plot either, but this is a very easy read. If you are also getting into dark romance, I think this is a perfect way to start it, because it's not really dark romance unless you want it to be. Our one and only Ali Hazelwood's Bride. Bride was such a good time. I had so much fun reading this. I listened to it in audiobook and I loved it. I loved Misery. I loved Lo. I literally loved every character in this book. And this is so good on audiobook. If you haven't tried immersive reading, I think you need to do it right now, because immersive reading quite literally changed my life. I used to think that I'm not a big Ali Hazelwood girl just because I'm not a woman in STEM and I can't really relate. But Bride, and I can't wait to read Mate 2. I still have to read it. And my queen, Abby Jimenez. I just love anything Abby Jimenez writes. Just like Kristin Hanna, Abby Jimenez can write anything and I will read it. And every time I read a book of hers, I'm like, how can she top this? And I know The Night We Met is gonna top Say You'll Remember Me too, because Say You'll Remember Me is one of my top romance reads of all time. I saw a video of somebody saying that they probably don't end up together after the book, but I'm not seeing that, okay? They're still together in my mind. This book made me cry. She writes such good romances. If you haven't read any of the Abby Jimenez books, start with A Part of Your World. Last but not least, we have the Heartstrings series by B.K. Borison. I say the best for last because this series is so good. I loved First Time Caller. I ate this one up in one day. I read this in literally like hours, and I loved Aiden and I loved Lucy. And when I was reading this book, I was like, I hope Jackson gets a book, because Jackson was so hilarious in this book. I was like, he needs his own book. And guess what? Jackson has his own book. I didn't get a chance to just read this, but I know B.K. Borison, I read The Good Spirits by her too. I just know it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, that was my unsolicited opinions. If you want to see more videos of me, make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.